This is the 8-9 combo. I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones, and this, mate, is Games of the Week. Hello, how you doing?
How's it, Brett? Several Mexican martinis in, so please forgive any slurring I do.
Several Mexican are they harder or softer than regular martinis?
Well, they have more spice around the rim, so
Yeah, right.
I think it delivers
Gotcha.
it more into your bloodstream.
Straight in. It's the end of another rugby week, mate. It's here, and make sure you do check out episode 35 of the 8-9 Combo Rugby podcast with James Slipper from earlier this week. A great reflection of where the Wallabies currently sit, and of course, his surpassing George Gregan now as the most capped Wallaby. A really enjoyable chat with another favourite guest of ours, I've got to say. It was a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to have someone who has a span so they can actually reason about, what coaches work, how it works, going from 2010 to 2024. That's a pretty nice span. It's almost
six Wallaby coaches.
Yeah, he's seen them. They've come and gone. He's reinvented himself. He said it several times, so it's great to hear from him.
Yeah, that was really good. We're back into the original Games of the Week format again, so let's just rip straight in, mate. It's round 4 of the ERC, the United Rugby Championship. I loved the comment on our YouTube channel last week saying, your pronunciation of URC troubles me. I was like, haha, you need to find the great works of Rian Lowe, and that solves everything.
Yeah,
but it is round 4.
I think Ringo invented the ERC. That is correct.
He did.
Coined it.
He definitely did. It's round 4 of the ERC, and there is a couple of great games coming out. It's a fairly full round, as you can imagine. Glasgow's Zebre kicking things off on Friday. Another Welsh derby in Cardiff and Scarlets. Benetton hosting Sharks. Edinburgh hosting the Stormers, which you may or may not be interested in. I think I know that you're about to talk about Leinster Munster at Croke Park. Follow what else we've got? Ospreys Bulls in Swansea. Ulster Connacht in Belfast, and wraps up with the Dragons and Lions in Newport on Sunday. Leinster Munster at Croke Park is going to be enormous. Something like 83,000 tickets have already been sold for it. Tell me now why that is not the game of the week.
Yeah, the log is too young for the permutations of who is going to win or who gets to the playoff to provide us any drama. We have to go to the drama of a game that's been played since 1879. Yeah. Leinster started playing Munster in 1879. Now, Leinster has the advantage. They're about 62 to 45, 5 draws. But before that, as the new century dawned, it was actually 50-50. So that has actually been built of recent late. So it almost provides its own drama, which is Munster is seething at the heights they've fallen from, and they want their faded glory to be returned. And so they delight in spoiling things, knocking them out in Europe or winning a cup. But this is Interpro, as they call it there. They call it Derby, has shifted to Leinster for sure. But it's still one of the great matchups in rugby because Leinster is full of test players. It's literally like the Irish team with Jimmy O'Brien and Archie Snyman. And then you have Munster, who's always kind of like, we have Gavin Coombs, who should have been a 50 capper, they feel aggrieved. So in Cork, I think the general feeling is aggrievement. And the other thing I think is interesting is the match always sells out, like you said, 82,000 Croke Park, which they call the Croker. It's a giant Gaelic Games stadium.
Yeah.
This
open,
enormous
surrounding stadium, but it's open at one end, isn't it?
Yes, and just like the Aviva. It's named for an archbishop. The GAA guys call it the Croker. It's got a dark history, Bloody Sunday and so forth. But here they go again. It just seems like with Munster, with Graham Roundtree at the helm, with some serious operators, is really up for this. They had a rough start against Zebre, but then they've roared back. And I think you always get Munster's best game when they play their northern cousins.
Yes.
They're good mates when they're playing test rugby together, but they actually really sincerely hate each other. Like this is one of those rivalries where you just go in a little bit and look around, you go, ooh, that's harsh.
I can remember years ago, Laurie Fisher came back from a stint at Munster, and he used to talk about the Munster men would be disappointed if they got through a training week and there hadn't been a punch up. But he then also said that whenever it was a Leinster game, they actually had to try and pull them back from each other because they might have actually hurt themselves ahead of a big game. So, yeah, just look, it's just phenomenal. And I've seen a few comments around speaking about the enormity of the derby and what sort of atmosphere it's going to be, and how it's going to be something that you don't get at an island game because this game is so much more accessible for so many more people. And that's been an interesting little undertone to what is a big match on the Irish rugby calendar, no doubt.
Yeah, and I think what also helps the spice, a little bit like New South Wales and Queensland, is they are rivals in everything, like politics, culture, who's got the best comedians. They just have this ongoing forever rivalry. So it's fueled. And the other thing is the people, like players come from everywhere now and they shift around, but there's still kind of a, these guys are from here and these guys are from there.
There's still a regional element to it, isn't there? Yeah. It's going to be a ripper. I haven't actually looked at what time it is. My time. Actually, I can do that. I can do that right now while I'm talking about 3:45 a.m. I might be able to watch that. I'll find a way. There's a couple of other interesting games there, I think. We should actually add too. That's first against third on the ERC table. And I know we're only 4 rounds in, but there's a bit of jeopardy here as well, which is always cool.
I mean, there's not that many unbeaten teams running around. Leinster's one of them. So
Leinster's it.
You would think that Munster, well, I mean, in all the competitions, it's unusual that a lot of teams have dropped. So you would think that Munster would take special delight in ruining that someone's O must go. They would like Leinster's O to go. Definitely. I was actually hoping to be in Cork, and unhappily, but also kind of happily because I need to, make money. One of my corruption investigation cases took me from going to Cork, and I would have dearly loved. I was planning a kind of a cool thing where I was going to be in amongst, a pub in Cork and watch them watch. Because I think it's super fun. It's really fun to see Irish people swear and get drunk. I've always liked that.
More than fair. It's round 4 of the Premiership in England as well. There's a couple of interesting games there as well. It kicks off on Friday night in Salford, Sale hosting Newcastle. Then Saturday we go to Exeter Bristol at Sandy Park, Gloucester Bath at the King's Home, Leicester Northampton at Welford Road, and Harlequins and Saracens at the Stoop on Sunday. And I was tempted to say that the London Derby is maybe the game of the week, but I think Leicester and Northampton at Welford Road, that's 3rd against 5th. Checker back on the sideline for the Tigers now. Northampton sort of, slowly. I mean, they're both 2-1 after 3 rounds, so they're in a similar spot. There's only 1 point between them. As I say, Northampton starting to find their feet. Checker's maintained this whole thing about, I don't think the Premiership people actually want me in this tournament. So he's already got the chip on his shoulder by round 4. So I think there's going to be something to this.
And also their color schemes are exciting when placed against each other. Where is it being played? Which park?
In Leicester at Welford Road.
Yeah, that's a great atmosphere. I would say everyone who can ever go to a Leicester, I've only gone to one before, and it was one of the best game day vibes. So it's I think just going, games of the week is also about what the experiences are at the park. That is a great place to go see rugby. All the Aussies who want to, support Checker, or all the Saffas who want to jump out for, Pollard and Visa. It's going to be a great one. I like how Leicester also has their players calling at random people in Leicester. Have you seen this? They just kind of just ring them up and they go, "Hello, I'm Hundred Pollard.
Are you coming to the game?" Yeah, right.
It's cool.
But what's the context around that? Is it like a membership drive thing, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
I think they're calling members. Yeah, probably.
Yes. Just making sure you come. I'm here for Leicester Tigers players sitting down for an hour at a desk randomly calling people in Leicester.
Hello, I'm Andro Liebenberg.
Just wondering whether you're coming to the rugby this
week.
weekend.
Hello, I'm Julian Montoya.
Random calls in Leicester. I was sort of half interested in the London derby, but Harlequins Saracens, that's 7th against 1st. So maybe later in the year.
However, on points differential, Harlequins is not bad. I always look at that.
No, true.
And that's another one where it's a little bit like Leinster Munster, where there's clearly one team that's on top of that rivalry, but it's still a rivalry. Saracens definitely is the leader in that.
Saracens are the only unbeaten team in England at the moment. Yes. You're right. And yes, Harlequins are the only team outside the top 4 with a positive points for and against. So no,
they'll be fine. The Quins will be good. But I don't know if they're going to take the Saris this time. The Saris look like really proper good this season.
Yeah. That might be a highlights watch on Sunday afternoon. It's round 6 of the top 14. What's your pick there this week?
So listen, like I just told you, I do corruption investigations. That's part of what I do, and so I'm going to try to find the least corrupt matchup here.
So we're ruling out Montpellier straight away.
Seaside towns in France are always really corrupt. That's one thing. And any side, the towns, not the clubs, guys. Sorry, but any side with a number in it, I find dodgy. So Racine 92, too long. No. Yeah. Montpellier is the most corrupt club in the world. La Rochelle versus Bayonne, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
That's coastal. Toulouse versus Clermont. That's Rob Simmons versus Manny Miafu. I'm going to go with Bordeaux Bigless versus Perpignan. Perpignan is almost in Spain. It's near the coast, but not on the coast. Let's call it 10 kilometers away. Bordeaux is set in from the sea. They play in a very cool stadium called the Stade Jacques Chaban-Delmas. And it was a velodrome, and I like those weird stadiums.
It is still called the Stade Velodrome, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
They still refer to it as the Stade Velodrome.
Yeah. Built just for bicycle racing.
Cycling. Yeah.
And it's a cool, weird place. If you want to go eat someplace before they go to All Familia, tram line A, bus number 9. And also one of our great friends on Twitter named Maz.
Yes.
She and her husband live in France, and they are big-time UBB supporters.
Big Bordeaux fans,
and she has told me that she will give a shout-out to Pirate Pete from this pod. So, Pirate Pete, the pod says hello.
Hi. How are we going? That's a good shout. I mean, it's 1st against 9th, but that's not a bad shout. Lyon Stade was where I thought you might. Lyon Stade Francais was where I thought you might have gone, and that's 7th against 11th. But their record is very, very, very similar. So
that's a good matchup. You're right.
Yeah, that's not a bad one either. It's quarterfinal weekend of the MPC in New Zealand, and the big ticket item there is that 14 All Blacks have been released to play for provinces this weekend. So that makes things really interesting. Friday night sees Wellington playing Counties Manukau in Wellington. That's 1st against 8th. Saturday afternoon is Bay of Plenty v Hawke's Bay in Tauranga. That's 4th against 5th. Taranaki host Waikato in New Plymouth on Saturday night. That's 2nd against 7th. And then on Sunday, it's Tasman Canterbury in Blenheim. That's 3rd against 6th. I mean, you can flip a coin there. They're all going to be ripping games. Tasman Canterbury is an interesting one. That's the Crusaders feeders playing against each other. So not just All Blacks teammates playing against each other. It's going to be Crusaders teammates playing against each other as well.
It's also very interesting how the influx of All Blacks will affect it.
So Wellington get TJ,
and it makes them a lot better, and sometimes it's like disturbs their rhythm.
Might not, yes. So Wellington get TJ Perenara and a couple of others, Safra Moore back as well. And so it's TJP against Cam Roygard, who's playing for Counties Manukau. But then Tasman had Ethan Blackadder and David Harville last weekend already. And Canterbury will get a couple of guys back as well. So, yeah, I absolutely take your point. And it must be hard for those guys as well, being released to go back and quickly get up to speed with 2, maybe 3 training sessions for a quarterfinal game, and you don't want to let your province down. So, Yeah.
I cannot imagine any scenario where Asafa Omoa wouldn't be a great comfort to have on your team. Just a hard running hooker. That's sort of easy to fit back in. I think it's harder to fit like a 10 in sometimes because you play a different way or something.
It's a hell of a luxury. It's a hell of a problem to have, isn't it?
Just give me a hard running hooker.
Exactly. But there it is, mate. Full time, another games of the week, wrapping up the rugby around the world as we do it. Tell us what you think at the 8-9 combo on all the socials, or leave your thoughts in the comment section right here on our YouTube channel, or you can hit Harry and I up on the socials in our usual places as well. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube channel. Make sure you're following on all the pod platforms wherever you tune in, and make sure you've got your auto download setting turned on as well to make sure you don't miss it. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, mate, is that we've been co-hosted. Our videos have been co-hosted by your good mate MV Velleman over on the Megafoon Rugby channel, YouTube channel out of South Africa. We've been there for a few months. Hello, if that's where you're watching us right now. And it's absolutely worth people checking out the Megafoon page and giving it a subscribe, if for no other reason than to see how my co-host relates stories from his incredible globe-trotting, budget-blowing life as a fixer into the rugby world. And it's kind of incredible, I've got to say. You won this week. I've got a little passage that I just want to read out to you. You said, "It's scary to be called into a room by a coach. It's frightening to be told you may not be good enough or to go back and get better at something. I think fans forget some of that sometimes, even though we did play rugby and we were around it, but we expect perfection. And then we almost punish the people who are real." And as you're saying that, I'm going, oh my God, where's this come from? Like, this is talk to us about this confession series, mate. It's around, that was number 3, so it's been around for a few weeks.
Oh wow, my entire setup collapsed right when you said that.
We just had a stop motion thing there.
Whoa. So I've been doing Leicester Rugby Pod over there with MVA. It's just completely Safa. It's deep in Safa world. And along the way, people said, well, we'd like to know more about what it is you're fixing. We know you're some kind of fixer guy. What is it that you do? And I thought, well, that's kind of, self-indulgent and a bit sad for someone to tell, the greatest hit stories. And so I thought, well, what if I could relate it to rugby and invent sort of this thing is called the confessions. And now I think we're coming up to the confession 4. And I just literally come clean about the dirt that I got to do, but I try to put it into a context that people can relate to inside the rugby, whether it's how we understand stats or how you play. The next one's about playing an away game, like how you play differently home and away. And I just use, an adventure in Honduras. I think that you know about quite well, actually. And I don't, and the statute of limitations have passed. So
one that I've learned not to ask questions about.
No, I just, I get money back from people who don't want to give it. I find people who don't want to be found. That's, and then I just integrate that into my rugby life. But, this time around, I tried to do something more personal, and I talked about weaknesses, and I talked about, that I literally have a stutter, and I've learned to work with it. When I was a young man, I actually stumbled more because I literally talking about it makes me stutter. When I was young, it would catch me by surprise. And when you get older, you learn it's almost like falling when you have a bad ankle, just to let it go. Like, don't fight it or you're going to make it worse.
Just to go with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I let the thing happen, but then I found a way to just use a different word order, and it helped my writing. I can start a sentence any old way you want. I'm just trying to stay away from the stutter word. And in my mind, if I'm going to go there, I just do a different way. So I just revealed that on my confession, and I was amazed at how many people.
The response was fantastic.
People that had stutter, people that worked around it. A lot of people just emailed me or DM'd me and didn't want to be in the limelight. They just want to talk. And like some really tough stories of people that it debilitated some of their life. And, so I'm kind of encouraging them. Now, when I was a kid, listen, the coach just told me, "Hey, Harry, stop sounding stupid." And that was what I had to work with. So, like nowadays, people are a lot nicer. And, and there's not that great. I'm telling you, it's difficult to overcome. But, I just decided to use that. And I was surprised. People just, really liked that kind of angle. So we do it every week, drops on Sundays. And, yeah, it's going to take you around the world, and there's some hairy adventures coming up.
Yeah, look, it's absolutely worth checking out. So just search for the Megafoon channel on YouTube, MEGAFOON, and you'll find Harry's Confessions of a Rugby Fixer over there on the Rugby channel. And look, it's, as I say, they've been co-hosting us for a couple of months. It's a fantastic little sporting community which we're really happy to be part of. So hi again to MV and everyone over there. But that then, mate, I think is us done. Another interesting weekend, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I'm glued into that Munster Leinster thing, and I am enjoying the ERC in general. It's interesting, the styles of play, and with all these changes of laws that we try to do things, we forget that, like, I think the differences in how teams play is really the magic.
Yeah.
So hopefully we never get to a point where everyone's playing too much the same.
No, that's the secret sauce that makes rugby great, isn't it? That everyone's just a little bit different. Yeah, excellent. This then is Games of the Week from the 8-9 combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realise you needed, coming from the podcast double act you already had. I'm Brett McKay, he's Harry Jones, and we'll be back in your ears next week.
Come play with us. YouTube.